The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. South Boston Speedway, located about 60 miles east of the famous Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, has been a famed track since 1957, holding many a local series as well as the two of the top three NASCAR National Series in the form of the Trucks and the Busch Series for many years. South Boston Speedway is a driver and a fan favorite for the short track enthusiasts. Tonight we take a turn here with the eCAR Late Model Series to have some fun here tonight for 200 laps around this little bull ring. Welcome everyone to the channel for tonight's race. Again, the eCAR Late Models presented by Precision Spotting. 6 races into our season, 200 laps around this racetrack. Gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth, and in the production truck, Patrick. I combined two of your names. This is going off fabulously. Patrick Rekus Coleman here to help me out with all of the calls. So, Patrick, we head to a very short, very narrow, very difficult short track for one of the longer races here on the eCAR schedule.
Indeed, yeah. So this is a very historic track. It's been around since 1957, and its layout really hasn't changed. If anything, they may have done some repaving over the years. 0.37 miles around, 4 turns as per usual, with 10 degrees of banking on the straights, 12 degrees of banking in the corners. And this is going to be a really interesting one. Like you said, it is one of the extended races, but unlike the previous extended race, where we did have an extra set of tires for the drivers to utilize, just like usual, we only have one singular tire set the drivers are going to have to utilize throughout the entire 200 laps here.
Yeah, and some interesting things to be said as to back up at that point. Patrick, you saw me doing some ghost car test laps before this, just because I just wanted to get a gauge of the fuel. And based on about 7 laps of a complete amateur late model driver testing, I don't think they can make this whole race on fuel, so there probably will be a fuel-only stop at some point here in the race, as we do have 15 cars strong this evening here at Sobo. Again, last week's race was at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, and we saw Chris Horton getting a win, and Chris not here today to back up that win. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. That track a lot bigger, almost double the size to be fair. And then we end up at at Myrtle Beach next week, which is a rather big track. And then we have a surprise track in 2 weeks at the end of November there, Patrick. So it's always weird having a surprise track on the schedule for November 20th.
Yeah, because, I mean, admin team is probably really the only people that knows. The drivers don't know. We don't know. I mean, the admin team might not even know yet. They might even be waiting on a decision, although I'm sure they definitely do have some tracks narrowed down. So, I mean, with how fast time is flying, I mean, we're already in November of 2025. So I'm sure we'll get our answer sooner rather than later, as qualifying is done and dusted, and we're about to go ahead and begin the grading process here.
Of course, gives us a chance to thank everyone for tuning in here to PTR TV. If it's the first time, don't make it your last. Hit the like and subscribe button here on our mission to 1,900 subscribers. Just need a little bit of help from you to help us get there if you have not already done so. But actually, we have a warm-up, so we actually went live a few minutes earlier than I anticipated. So not a bad thing. Just gives us some time to go over a little bit more of the nuances here of Sobo, as if you watch PTR TV regularly, you would have saw that we did a night race at Pocono the other day. Sun going down, but luckily we do have the lights to facilitate the things that lights are known for doing. But just to go over our point standings, as I've just pulled them up here on the back end, Jack Fred is our points leader by a single point over Dave Bishiner, or Bishiner, we haven't been confirmed either way. Nathan Rhew, Dylan Winters, and Brett Mecky's the top 5, all of which separated by just 16 points.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still a lot to play for here in this championship. I mean, we are running out of rounds here. We are on round number 6. We still have quite a few rounds left to go in the championship, but I mean, time flies, and this championship is going to go down bit by bit by bit. So, you know, I mean, you really need to keep consistent. You can't really, even though we're actually not even, this is really the halfway point of the season, because this is the 6th round, and then we have 6 to go after this. So, I mean, you got to keep consistency, because we're only just about to be halfway through the season. So you can't really get off your A game here. Jack Fred needs to really push on, especially because he only has a 1-point buffer between himself and Dave Beichner in P2. So this race is going to be pretty crucial here, as it is one of the few remaining extended races on the calendar this season.
Yeah, absolutely that. It's just Chris Horton, by the way, 33 points out. And just very interesting to say that, because, again, he didn't run 2 races on the season. And you get about 35 points as the base pay, as the winner pay with no additional bonus points. 35 points, so he's really only 1 race out, and that's because he missed a race. So just shows how much speed he's had here on the season, but won't be backing it up here today. But currently we'll bring up the telemetry, the ticker, and let you know where these drivers are on the practice sheets thus far. Steven Rex, 14.9. And, you know, just the nature of a short track there, Patrick, your times are going to be very tight. So we go back 6 positions, and we're still within 1/10 of a second. That makes passing so difficult when everyone's running such tight speeds.
Indeed, and this is a longer track, or a longer race as well. Not really a longer track, because it's just about 0.4 miles, as we talked about earlier on. But the drivers don't have another set of tires, so tire management is going to be so crucial here. And, I mean, making that fuel go as long as possible, too, because like you're saying, it's not likely that this field will finish 200 laps while having a good enough field to get to the end, even with a few cautions here and there. You would have to have a ton of cautions to make it to the end, but honestly, I just don't foresee that happening. So you got to really time your fuel stop and try to make that fuel go as far as it possibly can. And honestly, that's probably going to be one of your keys to the race, Corey. Just like it is almost every single week we come here to eCAR, it's just management and staying out of trouble.
Exactly that, and this will not help the case of fuel mileage here as we go. Actually, I don't really have a good camera for it, but they are hitting the chip at the end of these straightaways. I've heard it many a times, just that pitter-patter sound of hitting the chip at the end of the straights, and it's very interesting that that happens, Patrick. Of course, that's a gearing thing, but at a track with such small straightaways, it's actually surprising that there's enough straightaway to get that kind of oomph to actually run out of motor there.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see, and we'll see who can go ahead and utilize that to the best of their ability and who can go ahead and utilize it better than their fellow drivers here on track. It's going to be a tricky one. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, we've seen some pretty good management drives, and we've also seen some drivers find that little trick, just like the one you're talking about, finding that little quirk and utilizing it to their advantage.
Yeah, maybe you can back off, maybe you can do whatever it is, and of course on a short track like this, the bumper isn't necessarily out of the question. But now we can get ourselves down trackside for that PTR TV starting lineup, and let's go and give it on to you. We'll head down trackside. Looks like we got 15 cars strong. We'll split it right there in half. Patrick will let you know who the pole sitter is going to be. It's going to be Alex Thomas there. I assume we omit the B there, but William Keck, Tri-Cities, Washington there. And then we have Jacob Snyder in third, Connor Robinson going to be in the fourth spot. Fifth is Nathan Rhew. He won the Oxford race. Dave Vishna trying to get that points lead, 1 point behind, going to be in the sixth spot. And then we have Jack McKee and then Stephen Rex. Hand it off to you, Patrick.
Championship leader Jack Fred in the P9 alongside Jonathan Schaefer there. And then it is Dylan Winters and Travis Suckup in P12. And then we have Colt Huff and Jonathan D. Golden. And then rounding out our field here tonight is Johnny B. in number 62 from North Branford, Connecticut. Oh, we'll see how these drivers go ahead and navigate the circuit, and I think it's going to be a fun race here tonight.
Yeah, hopefully that is indeed the case here. 200 laps around, which shouldn't be that long, roughly 50 minutes or so, depending on the caution flag sequences. But again, no sets of tires to avail. And these drivers do run with full fuel loads. So again, I ran about 7 laps, and my iRacing fuel gauge estimator thingy said I could probably go about 198 laps. Now the iRacing gauge is the most inaccurate, but it's still more accurate than completely guessing. So I imagine that will be to top off for fuel, as what are we going 3 wide here off the jump? But no, we're going to get doubled up, stacked up. 1 more pace lap, and that car will pull in, and we'll start having some fun.
Indeed we shall. It should be a fantastic one. It'll be interesting to see if Jack Fred can get through the field here, as he needs to go ahead and do good. He's lucky that his championship rival isn't here tonight, because he had a very, very rough qualifying as we're about to go green.
Yes, indeed the case as we come off turn number 4 here. It's going to be Thomas. It's going to be Keck. Green flag in the air. We're getting to go for 200 laps around Sobo. Down to the bottom of the racetrack is Thomas. He will clear. Now, this is a track where it's not necessarily a bottom feeder track. You will see drivers making some time on that outside line. You'll have some guys taking advantage of the apron, so we'll see what works. But 1 lap in the books, we stay at green flag.
Indeed, we'll see how these drivers can go ahead and get settled in here to this race. As Connor Robinson has Dave Bikener around. Actually, I did misspeak earlier. Dave Bikener did qualify well ahead of his championship rival, Jack Fred.
That he was here, but I was going to let you rock with it.
Well, he wishes he wasn't here, but Dave Bikener is definitely going to take a lot of pride in seeing that he is several positions ahead of his championship rival here. At this stage, he will take the championship lead, and we'll see if he can go ahead and hold on to that position. Stephen Rex in that number 6 machine is going to go in and try to hold it around the outside. He'll try to make that outside line work, and it looks like he's getting there slowly but surely, but just doesn't have enough to quite make this pass yet here, as we are going ahead and getting ready to go on to lap number 6.
And you can see he's getting more of a run each lap. This time by, he may clear. Now, the interesting part of this, Patrick, is that he might be running faster, but to what we've alluded to once or twice already, and I'm sure we'll beat it till it's blue, no additional sets of tires, and he's probably pushing those Hoosiers very, very aggressively. So the short-term gain may not be worth the lack thereof a long-term reward.
Indeed, yeah, we're seeing some battle here again, as Stephen Rex now has to contend with Connor Robinson, and just up at the front, the 540 of Alex Thomas is going to go ahead and try to hold position. He's got a little bit of a gap there to William Keck, just behind, right about 3/10, just kind of ebbing and flowing around that ballpark, as Jacob Schneider and Connor Robertson just behind. And we're seeing it from the back here of William Keck's machine, and Stephen Rex is going to go ahead and try to stick it around the outside. He's going to go and use the high line, get that move done and dusted. He just sent it through there, and honestly, he made it look easy.
Yeah, that was a power move, and it makes you wonder one of two things. Is he just that much faster, or is that outside line that much faster, or is everybody else playing a more cautionary tale right now with how they are driving this place? You can see here from the rear deck lid, I don't even know where I put this camera, but it looked cool, so I put it there. He is running a complete lane up the track, and he's just inching closer and closer every time around this place. So maybe that'll be something that everybody throws in the arsenal, but that'll be paused by our league owner here, Dylan Winters, Jonathan Golden. Not a lot of time here to get sorted. Got to get flipped around and caught up.
Indeed, we'll go and take a replay, just kind of see how that happened. Oh, we got tipped.
Yeah, that was by Colt Huff there.
I think both cars got tipped by different cars, so I think
Colt Huff into Winters.
Johnny B.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And then that was Johnny B into the back of, I believe that was Golden there. So double whammy for Golden. But I think Dylan will be okay. Be interested to see what that 86 looks like. The right front looks a little obtuse, but I think that's just kind of the nature of these cars, to be honest. No, that right front's certainly out in the air. So luckily, we're only going about 75 miles an hour, so it shouldn't hurt too bad, you'd imagine.
Especially because, I mean, these cars, I doubt they have the top of the line safety, but I know they got some safety measures in those late model machines. And also, it is the virtual world, so you don't have to deal with the real life G-force unless you have a very, very, very expensive simulator, which I will do my best to hide my jealousy if you have one of those super fancy simulators. But I mean, it's not ideal, because even if you just take the whole, safety aspect out of it, the airflow over that car isn't going to be great, and I'm sure there could be suspension damage, which might make turning a bit tricky here.
Yeah, that'll be the bigger thing here, obviously, at these speeds. I mean, aero, as a famous driver once said, if the car is moving, aerodynamics matters, but more importantly, suspension, because that will hurt the tire wear as well. And if you don't have a set of tires extra, and you're wearing them down obscenely, that is a no bueno situation. But you can see the 19 really working the back bumper of the leader here. Gets a little contact in the restart box, but Rex to the outside. That's where he wants to be. And he's going to try to get that line up and moving, but Keck trying to rock the inside. This is a set. This is also a heat cycle on these tires. We'll see how they react to it.
Indeed, yeah. And sometimes, I mean, we've seen it here where a restart after a caution can really make or break your race. It can take all the momentum you had and either amplify it or just completely shatter it. We have seen both of those outcomes here over the course of this eCAR season, and we'll just have to see who can go ahead and take advantage of that momentum. And it looks like Steven Rex has definitely got that momentum here, trying to go ahead and put pressure onto Alex Thomas here in the number 54. He's going to go ahead and push on and try to push out and try to see if he can bomb another situation here, like he just had a very good move earlier on onto William Keck before the restart. We're about a tenth of the way through this race now, and so far, Steven Rex
he went
has been
high that time by.
I was just saying, yeah, he just likes that high line, and it's been working wonders for that number 6 car.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking a track that's 0.3 of a mile, 3.37, probably making it about 0.42. That's making the straightaways that much longer. And see, he's up high, he's up high, he's up high, and he's not necessarily cutting low like that late apex approach that you'll see it on short tracks at hairpin corners and such. He's staying high the whole time, and he's getting right to that back bumper. And Alex dedicated to the yellow line, and just watch this run he gets. Maybe not the best example that time by, but going to go up to that second lane, get on the loud pedal earlier. Well, maybe now he's starting to stagnate just a little bit.
He might have just kind of had one of those oh no moments and just kind of looked at his fuel gauge and think, well, I really might want to dial it back because I might be using more fuel than I'd really want to at this point. And the ultimate goal in this race here in terms of fuel management is just to go through the entire 200 lap race without having to make a pit stop. And like you said, that's a bit easier said than done. Even if we take the not so accurate iRacing fuel gauge, and into the lead he goes. So, I mean, that clear air is probably going to be at least a little bit easier on your fuel management.
And there's also another important part to running a longer groove around the track, Patrick, and that's purely, your teacher, it's geometry. If you run higher up, that's an increased radius, that's a longer distance. If it's a longer distance, that means you need more gas for it. Now, we could be completely off when it comes to that fuel debate. But again, the only information we have is me running about 8 laps at about probably a second slower than what these guys are doing, and it said I probably wouldn't make it. So we've had one caution. That'll probably add a couple laps to that just based on that pace. But again, we got to see what happens. And it's far-fetched to say, Patrick, but it's possible. With every lap that goes by, handling becomes more and more of a deal. That leads to the cars spreading out. That leads to the possibility and frequency of cautions going down. So each lap that goes by increases the odds that this race will have that green flag flare.
Indeed. You're 100% right there, Corey, as we see a very fantastic battle between Connor Robinson and the driver who would take the Drivers' Championship lead if things situated or if things finished as they are now. But now we're riding on board with Jonathan Schaefer, who is going to go ahead and have Travis Suckup trying to go up the inside here, trying to make that number 45 go up a position and try to go ahead and get to the top. He's trying to get to the top 6 here. He's going to go ahead and send it up the inside, and he's got the move onto the number 91. But we've seen how fast a high line can be here. But so far, it looks like Travis is going to make that inside line stick, even if just for now.
Yeah, I remember Jonathan Schaefer, our real-world driver from the Cars Tour. We talked to him on the podium last week, and he intends to run some Craftsman truck races next year, again, all sponsorship depending. Said he had some fun. Glad to see him here again. Dylan, remember he was involved in that wreck. He was involved in that wreck with Jonathan Golden. Golden getting to the inside and also having some connectivity issues in the process with Jack McKee getting to the inside and Johnny B running shotgun on the field. These drivers 5 seconds behind the leader. That is about a third of a lap in arrears here at Sobo. If we go to our top-down cam, you can see exactly, basically this track's cut in half right now with regards to where the drivers are. But eventually we may get ourselves a whole snake of cars if it really spreads out.
Indeed, yeah. And honestly, if you lose that little bit of slipstream to the car head, although granted, on a short track like this, that isn't exactly the most prominent factor like it would be on a road course. Particularly Monza is the one that comes to mind, one that Brad and I did on Elbows Out Racing just roughly about almost 24 hours ago at this point. But I mean, if you lose that car head, then it could be tricky to catch back. That's a big wiggle there from the soon-to-be championship leader if everything finishes as it does now.
Yeah, Bishner up. We've said it both ways, and no one's ever corrected us on it. But he's rocking that high line, and Jack Fred back in the 10th spot, matching his car number. So certainly the advantage on points is going to go to that number 3 if things stand. But we are less than 25% through today's efforts here. As up front, Rex not falling off yet. Let's pull up the lap times on the top of our screen, and actually you can see last time by was not in favor of that number 6 car. He was about a 10th off. Let's see what it is this time as they cross Barney and into turn number 1, a 51. Now Thomas starting to eat into that gap. Did the number 6 play his cards a little bit too early there, perhaps?
Maybe, yeah. And we've seen this before here in the series, that some drivers just burn a bit too much too early, and then they kind of suffer for it in the later stages. And maybe that's what Steven Rex might have done, but He still currently has a little under a half a second gap now. It does ebb and flow here, but he does have traffic. Or actually, no, that is Alex B. Thomas. So no traffic yet, which that may come into play here if this race gets separated enough here. But we do have William Keck trying to go ahead and get ready for the possibility of a move. But considering the fact that ideally no pit stops are going to be needed, although granted, fuel is probably going to be a cause for pit stops here if we get him in this race. Even if we took that out, we got to remember, there's only one set of tires to have to get from here to the end of this race.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think here. You know, we had a caution super early. I think I'm going to rule out fuel. And the only reason I say that is I feel like if it was as close as I thought it was going to be, they probably would have topped off on that one caution we had a little bit earlier. So absolute last thing you want to do at a track this short with this long and slow of a pit road is have a green flag stop. You'll lose, I imagine, 3-4 laps here pitting under green. So I'm going to rule out fuel until we're told otherwise, or until we find out the hard way. But again, we didn't get privy to or any race notes on that, so we'll have to find out together. But Bishner, hold it on, suck up. Connor Robison, he's back here in the 6th spot, kind of in his own little bubble. I know this happens a lot of time in your neck of the woods, Patrick, with road racing, where you kind of just get yourself into this little alone segment on the racetrack. You're not battling anybody. You're really just kind of time trialing. That's kind of where that 11's sitting right now.
Which honestly isn't exactly a bad place to be, especially as we are just about, if my math is correct, we're about a quarter of the way through the race here in Sobo. So typically, one thing that this does mean is that if there's an accident ahead, you get plenty of time to really dodge. And going back to road course racing, the little bit of dirty air, or aero wash as it's referred to usually with oval racing, isn't exactly as much of a factor that you're kind of just by yourself like it is for these cars like Alex and William, who are all kind of just stuck behind Steven at the moment, who has really started to lose a lot of that advantage he had in the opening stages of this race.
Yeah, I really think he overexerted that right front. Driving on that outer lane, but the one thing that may come in common, well, that may come to his advantage, is the fact that later in a run everyone might be getting tight, so that's going to make passing to the inside a little bit more difficult. The drivers to the inside will have trouble maintaining momentum, trouble keeping the car down there on the lower line. That might be an opportunity for him to play defense, but it looked like Keck was going to make a move there on the 540, but he fell back in line. Then he tried the outside lane, didn't work for him. He's going to try it again, do that old Rex approach. 54, if anything, he's running lower on the racetrack. Almost got all 4 wheels down on the apron.
Which, in our experience here with oval racing, usually if you get too much onto the apron, it doesn't usually lead to good things unless you're actively trying to get a pit stop done, which once again, these drivers are going to try to avoid at all costs, as William Keck now is trying to get a good run. He'll get close to the high voltage Camry of Alex Thomas there. He's going to keep trying to look for any potential gap, and he's going to maybe try to utilize that high line that Steven Rex has weaponized here on the night. And look how close they get. Oh, we're seeing inside of the engine. That had to be at least a little bit of a touch and go there from the number 19, and he's going to go ahead and try to force himself up the inside here on the inner lane, and he gets that move done and dusted. He was not waiting any longer.
Yeah, exactly that. And, to the point about using the apron, you can use it a little bit here, Patrick, because remember the banking here, I think we had said is about 10-12 degrees. That's not enough to cause that car to just instantly loop around. The problem is that you can see to the inside of the racetrack, there are so many marbles here. This track, these Hoosiers really seem to rubber up here in eCAR. We see these tracks plentiful of marbles. You can see here there's enough to get the left side slightly below the line, but if you get too far down there, you know, trying to do what an NASCAR at Phoenix does, you're going to have all 4 wheels in the dirty stuff lose that grip. But then conversely, you get too high on the racetrack, you're also going to be in the marbles. So you got kind of a two and a half lanes to work with here to keep the car in the clean.
Indeed, yeah, you want to avoid those marbles at all costs if you can. So we're going to go ahead and see now Dave Beichner, who's going to go ahead and be under a lot of pressure now from Travis, trying to go ahead and make his way now into the top 4. And Travis has had a pretty strong drive here tonight. He's made up several positions just like his teammate did, and he's going to try, but that's going to be curtailed as a caution comes out. Caution number 2, and it's Dave Beichner around.
Yep, that's our... And this is a problem here on the tracks this narrow. This is well before your era, Patrick, but this track, especially with larger fields, there's not a lot of space. You know, it's akin to a street circuit. Not a lot of room to maneuver yourself here. But let's take a gander here on our PTR TV replay. And there's Suck up to the inside, and yeah, there ain't really any ifs, ands, or buts about that one.
Yeah, that's pretty black and white there. Just got punted around there as we get another view, this time riding on board with the number 3, and yep, that's a bit of a...
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's do the old analysis, Patrick. You know, you could argue the 3 was about a lane off the wall, and you're always entitled as the car in front to run the line you want. It's just sometimes, you know, we always make that assumption that you're going to assume that space is going to be there. But if it's not there, it's still your fault anyways.
Yeah, it did look like kind of an optimistic move there from Travis. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of trust that comes into racing, right? He had to kind of trust and kind of hope and kind of guess essentially that he was going to have that kind of space to try to get that move done and dusted, but in the end he did it, and well, we saw the result of that one.
Precisely the case here, as we will quickly get sorted out back 1 to green here. Keck was starting to bleed, rather the other way around. Rex was starting to bleed that gap to Keck, and then Alex Thomas there in that 540, he was starting to lose a little bit of time as well. Connor Robinson there on the outside in the number 11 automobile. Pace car pulls in. Barney will get him waving here. Lap number 70 here at Sobo. Does Rex have, do those tires cool down enough for Rex to where he can preserve some kind of advantage?
Indeed, yeah, so we'll see how this one goes as Steven Rex is going to go ahead and try to hold on to the inside line here. And he's been using that high line so effectively here on the night. But something else that we've talked about is that in some races that we've covered here in this series, that we've seen that sometimes the more opportune lane or the better lane kind of switches as that's another caution.
Dave again. When it rains, it pours, in the words of some country song.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, that was same verse, second verse, same as the first, I do believe. Is that not the same driver as well who did that move?
Yep. The Tennessee, he must really just not be a fan of the Tennessee bowls as he just punts him around.
You know, you could refute, you know, the old Ayrton Senna saying, if car gap, but if, you know, if gap car or something to that effect, but you know, you have to kind of have the track position to make the move, and in my opinion didn't quite have that. Ken announced that he was black flagged, and I'm pretty sure there's some kind of caution protocol on that, so I'm not sure if he will be released back onto the racetrack or not, because he would be of the cause of 2 cautions, so we'll have to take a gander of that one. But this certainly will help the fuel situation out, Patrick, if it was even close at all, which again, we may have been hyping a storyline that didn't exist, but that storyline will probably be easing, because with each lap of caution they are, you know, saving fuel that they would otherwise be using rather quickly.
Indeed, yeah. And we were talking about the fuel management earlier on, and having 3 cautions is certainly going to make that a ton easier versus it being fully green, because you don't burn up nearly as much fuel or tires under the pace car as you would in regular green flag conditions. And speaking of the pace car and green flag conditions, the pace car comes in, and it's going to be green racing here back at Sobo. We're going to see who's going to make up so much room here, and we're going to see who can go ahead and capitalize this on the best. And the answer might just be Alex Thomas, who tries to get a move on the inner lane, getting past William Keck. And we're seeing some really good fighting here from the perspective of Nathan Rhew here, who is going to go ahead and just kind of watch this battle with interest, and also kind of with a sense of alertness, seeing that there's already been 3 cautions on the night. And if one of those cars gets turned around, he is pretty likely to be collateral damage.
Yeah, thus far, while this battle goes on, always hard to be behind a side-by-side battle because you don't necessarily know which lane is going to be most advantageous. As a little bit too early for me. I know some people, you know, they're November 1st Christmas people. A little bit too early for me, but evidently that doesn't apply to Keck there as the Santa hat on that number 19 car. William, Nathan Rhew, I don't know if Trading Paint's still having issues, but he's just driving a black car. But you know, maybe he drove a black car, no paint scheme. Maybe he didn't want to scuff up the good scheme, knowing that things were likely to get a little bit astray here at Sobo.
I mean, the number matches up with our timing table, so I think that might actually just be the livery that he is running here tonight. Just a simple black 88 livery. And I mean, hey, sometimes you don't need to do a whole lot, because I know there's the old saying of each sticker adds about 5 horsepower. Don't think that really applies here, as we see, I think that's Connor Robinson getting a bit wide there, and the 13-year-old he's doing pretty good here tonight. I believe this might be his debut race.
Oh, Patrick, he's in 6th, but he's falling back to 7th. 6-7. Sorry, I had to do it in one broadcast.
I never thought I'd see today. This is something I would have expected more from Brad.
Tell Brad to clip that one, but carry on with the next slide. I got to recoup.
It would be worse if Steven Rex was in that P7 position because he's driving the number 6, but we'll save the brain rot for another time. Maybe for April Fool's 1 year, we'll do a brain rot broadcast. Hopefully Brad doesn't actually take that idea seriously, but coming back to the action here, it is going to be a interesting run here, as William Keck has actually fallen way down here. He's down in the 4th with Jonathan Schaefer currently in P3, as the battles do continue here in Sobo.
Absolutely.
We're going to see who can go ahead and hold these positions. We'll see who can make moves as we are getting closer and closer to the first half of the race being done and dusted. But remember, unlike the last extended race, there are no stage breaks here. So as soon as you hit lap 100, you just keep on going.
Yeah, that was something that, I guess, from what I remember at Langley, that actually caught a few drivers off guard. I think that decision was made a little bit later. I think Langley and this place are around the same size. I would argue this place is probably a little bit faster than Langley. Langley's very flat, very, very flat, so it's a lot more off-throttle time there. But here comes Nathan Rhew going for the lead. He caught Keck, he drives to the inside. Rather, he caught Rex, drove to the inside, going for his 2nd win of the season. Nathan Rhew takes the lead. We were kind of off the topic there. Let's just quickly kind of surmise how he took that lead. He just went right to the inside, which maybe that upside's going away. And he was able just to drive on in. Rex going high. I think he may have hit the wall. Oh, there was contact off the corner there. That's what did it.
Oh no.
There's always the old adage there, Patrick. If you're gonna make contact with somebody, you better run. And especially when there's a cannonball on the back of the car behind you. well, not a cannon. Is that a cannonball or a shark? Whatever it is. But when there's a scary paint scheme and he's mad at you, you better run.
It looks like the nose art that would sometimes be on those old World War II Spitfire planes. Which usually, if you saw one of those kind of in your rear view, you weren't really going to be in for a good day. Although I don't think we're going to see any dive bombs here from Steven Rex here, but he's definitely going to be driving to retake that position.
I mean, he's not instantly, you know, just dropping like a rock here. He is still maintaining within 2 to 3 car lengths or so of Rhew. And it'll be interesting to see if that sustains or not. I mean, last time by, he was about a 10th slower. But Rex has not, outside of maybe this specific lap, he really hasn't run the bottom. He's still kind of dedicated to that second lane, especially on corner entry. Now he's doing the more traditional line where you'll run high and then cut low. All race, he's been running high and staying high. So again, he's having to get creative with his lines here as we close in on the halfway point cross flags.
Indeed, yeah. And I mean, we were just kind of talking about earlier how the fuel management might be a factor here, but I mean, with 3 cautions, these drivers have a very good chance of getting to the end here on this singular set, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to go ahead and fight. I mean, we know these drivers are going to go ahead and give everything they've got. William Keck giving our real-life driver of Jonathan Schaefer a run for his money here as he's trying to make a run for that P3 position to get onto the last step of the podium here as we go through lap number 100 out of 200 here. And he's going to go ahead and try, but once again, Jonathan Schaefer, a driver who has experience in this type of car, he's going to be a tough cookie to break here.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he actually was able to make this track. I think in terms of 2025, from what the racing reference said, I think he only ran North Wilkesboro. But either way, having experience in the car, even if it's a little bit different than in the sim, it's obviously still going to be of helpfulness, to say that. And other pieces of information, Dave Bichener, whatever his name is, still on the track. That right front, as you can tell, is not supposed to be that out in the wind, and it's also not supposed to be in the wall as it just was. But he is struggling 1 lap down. Travis Suckup was what I assume to have been parked for the race. After those 2 cautions, he pitted. He was black flagged and has since not returned to the racetrack in the number 45.
I mean, he did cause 2 incidents, pretty much one right after the other, so I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean,
it wasn't by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say I'm surprised to see something like that happen after causing 2 caution flags, pretty much one right after the other. But the best thing for him to do at this stage is just kind of recoup and then go ahead and get ready for next week.
That's all you can do. Next week's race, as we've already talked about, but I have already since forgotten, we will be at a track that is of the name of Myrtle Beach Speedway, which Myrtle Beach, track that the last time I covered an eCAR race there was Brad's, I think, 2nd time ever working on PTR TV, and I think I can say this without anyone getting mad at me because it's objective. It was the worst broadcast I think I've ever had, and we basically had just a lot of race manipulation, intentional wrecking, a lot of not good stuff, but I don't foresee us having those issues there. And of course, in the real world, Myrtle Beach doesn't exist anymore. It's one of those tracks. I think, Patrick, we talked a few weeks ago about the North Carolina Motorsports law that's been in place. South Carolina doesn't have that, so rich people move in next to a racetrack, complaining it gets loud, and unfortunately that track has now hit the bulldozer and is now a rich neighborhood.
That's always really unfortunate too, and I mean, it's, you know, I'm sure that the real estate agent would have mentioned that, hey, you're moving next to a racetrack. Racetracks can be loud. I'm still surprised how that's even legal in any state here in the U.S. But we have William Keck making a very legal move to go ahead and get past Steven Rex, who, after using the Highline so much, the Highline has kind of really kicked him here as he lost 2 positions, and now he's looking to lose a few more. He might have issues.
He's pitting. He's pitting. He's pitting. Now, is this... Oh, my God, the amount of marbles down there. Makes you want to have a tube. Makes you want to have some magnets and set up a tube. Now, is this a fuel stop, or is this all right, I've had my fun, let's forget about it stop? Hopefully just... No, it was the latter. I could tell because his driver is no longer in the automobile. Yep, he's gone. So he's Patrick, I don't know if I want to say this because it might be controversial. I'm gonna give you the opinion. Should I say what I'm gonna say or no? It's not offensive. It's not offensive. It's just of an opinion. You know, we talk about there's certain races where they're not always fun, but you sportsmanship through it, even though you might not be having fun. And it's one of those examples where that isn't necessarily the case. I mean, obviously he had his fun, and the race was obviously not going in his favor. There was no reprieve to get back on the, fresh tires, but I don't know if just quitting is the way to handle that.
I mean, just to kind of go ahead and kind of talk about that point there, I mean, the one thing that you and I know, Corey, across any form of motorsport, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's short track racing, rally racing, endurance, F1, you name it, the only thing that is predictable is that something unpredictable is very likely to happen in any given race. So you're never going to know exactly what's going to happen. And I mean, honestly, there could have been a chance for him to come back through the field, but I do understand the frustration. And sometimes you just...
Emotion gets the best of you. It happens to all of us, but sad to see. But a bunch of laps in that number 6 car and taking it by, or, it could be some kind of family-related issue too. We are living in the virtual world, so let's not eliminate all the possibilities, but either way is what it is. Jacob Snyder having a battle with Colt Huff, and that battle has since eradicated here. Jack Fred, remember our points leader, who given Dave's issues of sorts, that yin yang has flipped to where we were saying Jack Fred was going to bleed a bunch of points, but now he's looking to gain a bunch of points. So again, that's just the unpredictability of motorsport.
And that's the reason we all love motorsport, is because it is so unpredictable. The unexpected could happen at any given moment. As we see Jack Fred trying to go in and get another position onto Connor Robinson here. Let's see how he's going to go ahead and get it through. The two cars do have a similar-ish paint scheme here, as they're going to go ahead and make their way on through the number 10. Current championship leader is going to go ahead and try to improve some more positions. He has made his way up into 6th, which is a very good spot to be in considering where he started this race. But, I mean, another thing that we do know about racing drivers is they're not just content, or they're not just usually satisfied unless they get on the top step.
You always want to get a little better. The day you get complacent is the day that ultimately you probably should debate whether to hang it on up here. But while we are in a little bit of a green flag sprint, we are just going to go side by side for about a minute or two, and we'll be back with you for the finale here. So grab your drink, grab your water. We'll be back with you in a minute. And we're back here on PTR TV, round 6 of the eCAR late models at the South Boston Speedway. Corey Silva in the booth in the truck. Patrick Coleman helping out with all of the calls. We are past halfway in the event. We have 2 retirees. Travis Suckup, who got parked for 2 incidents. Stephen Rex parked on his own accord about 20 or so laps ago. But we do have our real-world driver, Jonathan Schaefer. Remember, our Cars Tour driver, ran at North Wilkesboro in the real world, looking to run some truck races already. Ran a few truck races in his career, but he's looking to get an eCAR win, closing in on Rhew. Again, this is 200 laps, 1 set of tires. We're starting to see the final step of the comers and goer process.
Indeed, yeah, and we're going to see some good battles here. We're even though we're over halfway through the race and getting close to being 75% of the way through the race, as we're seeing a battle is the number 81 is going to go ahead and use that apron a bit and try to get past Jacob Schneider, trying to get one on the championship leader. He gets close, but no tamale there, as he is going to go ahead and nearly touch the back of that number 10. And the battles just keep continuing on here. We're on lap 140 out of 200, and the battles have not even remotely cooled off, as William Keck is trying to give Jonathan Schaefer a run for his money here. Gonna run for P2. He's gonna try to hook on the inside line. A little bit of contact, few sparks flying from the underbody of that number 19. And he's gonna go ahead and try to hold on to it. And I mean, Alex Thomas probably is the best he knows. It's a bit of a checkup there from Jonathan Schaefer. And that's going to give Alex Thomas a good opportunity to try to claim that position in that number 54 Camry.
Yeah, that is all just a difficult situation for everybody else behind them, because they're trying to figure out where do we go, trying to get by. Especially for Thomas, he saw the opportunity, he went low. Schaefer, who I just thought was going for the lead, has since fallen back mightily here. Now we'll see what Keck can do. We'll see what Thomas can do. Remember, Thomas was our pole sitter and fell back relatively quickly once Rex swallowed him up. And now you can see he's using that top of the racetrack here, trying to make something happen. But now Rhew up to about a second lead, as Rhew in a little bit of lapped traffic here. Just got around, that's Johnny B. He was in our first incident. That puts him 2 laps down. Dave, you can see that heavily damaged number 3. He's still chugging along. Again, he's in 12th. He's in the free pass spot, Brad. He's not having fun, you know that. But he's on that optimistic, hopefully something happens. Maybe I can get some damage repaired. Maybe I can get caught back up.
Indeed, yeah, because, I mean, it just takes one more caution for this whole field to be bunched back up together again. So that will go ahead and give Dave here a chance to at least catch up back to the pack. Whether he can utilize being that close to the pack is just something we just have to kind of wait and see. But what we can definitely see right now is that there is a battle happening again. This time, Dylan Winters trying to get a good recovery drive here to try to go ahead and get past Coles Huff here for P8 on track here tonight. We'll see if the number 14 can get it done, as we are just about to be 75% of the way through this race here at South Boston.
Yep, only about 12 minutes of action if we continue on at our pace. We have the 11 car of Robinson. We have the 10 of Fred. Fred is trying to get that numerics in proper order here, getting the 10 in front of the 11, but little contact there, corner entry, but 11 washes up the track, but uses the momentum from the high line to his advantage here. As again, very, very nice to see a proper multi-lane track here, especially on a short track. You see a lot of one-lane racing, but Sobo putting on a fabulous race. Schneider behind in that 81J. And you can see we're pushing up the marbles, Patrick. We were about a 2-lane track. Now we're pushing 3. A little bit of contact there as the 11 tried to clear himself.
Indeed, yeah, and getting on those marbles can be a bit tricky and not exactly ideal either, as we do have the number 62 of Johnny B going ahead and just staying up on the high line, letting the traffic on through. He is 2 laps down, and he doesn't want to get involved in that kind of incident. And once again, we have a battle here for P3 on track. It is a William Keg under pressure from Alex Thomas, and they're going to go ahead and do battle here. And I mean, this is a battle we've pretty much been seeing all night here.
Yeah, these drivers doing a good service here, trying to battle for this second position. But one thing we are also paying attention to is if you look at that timing table on your ticker, you'll notice that that's about 2 or 3 laps in a row that Rhew has not been the fastest car on the racetrack. See, he is in the 3s, and the 2 of them together working them way into the 2s. So that, I mean, again, that's a very minor thing there, a very minor difference, but it's, you know, and if you're faster, you're still faster. That time by Keck about half a tenth faster, and Thomas just about matching the leader's pace. Gap now down to half a second. So you'd think with 42 laps to go, that's plenty of time. But again, 42 laps around this place is only 10 minutes.
Indeed, and you were mentioning that it was kind of an insignificant amount, essentially. However, just like you can equate it to almost anything, but even though like 1/10 really doesn't seem like a lot, that 10th adds up over time. So that 1/10 becomes 2 tenths, then 3, then 4, then half a second, eventually a full second, and that can close that gap up in a matter of laps if Nathan Rhew isn't careful, and if he lets that pace differential slip too much, then he's going to be fighting for his life to get that win.
Yeah, I remember he dominated the race at Oxford Plains, if memory goes back that far. But you know, in this race, he took the lead past halfway. He's currently at 72, so he took the lead a little bit before. It just shows how fast the lap times fly around here. So he's led basically what could be the second half of the race, hanging on. Maybe it's stabilizing at around half a second now, as the tires are kind of in their last phase here. How they react now is more or less how they're going to react for the rest of the race. I guess this is a good time as we just kind of show some racing going on. Jack McKee closing in on Winters, who is closing in on Huff, who is closing in on Robinson. This is 7th to the 10th positions, but let's take a gander at our race recap. 3 cautions for 12 laps. That's not too shabby for a bull ring of this sort. And 3 leaders, 2 lead changes. Stephen Rex, the fastest driver award of such, with a 15-1 here on the day.
Yeah, that's a pretty quick lapping there from Jonathan Schaefer, as we are going to continue on in this race here. And look at this, the number 8 trying to get up the inside here. That is Colt Huff trying to get up the inside of Connor Robinson here. The 13-year-old doing pretty good on the defense here from the number 8, but the number 8 is trying to go ahead and wedge that car in on the inside line to try to get a good run, to try to get that position. But the car positioning of Connor Robinson is going to make things a bit tricky, as Dave Beichner is actually into the pits. So that might be his race done and dusted, much to the relief of Jack Fred.
Yeah, I can't fault him. He stayed out for a large portion, and you know, he probably got to that point where he just realized the caution's probably not going to come out, or maybe something else happened. But something is happening now. Away to Huff to the inside of Robinson here, and we will see if Winters can fill in the gap here. Almost looking 3 wide for an infinitesimally small moment, but still was nonetheless. As the 11 all the way up in the dirty stuff, he will lose 1 spot, and he will maybe lose 2, and also get super loose off a corner exit, but going a little bit higher up. Schaefer, remember we talked at the end of our break, Patrick, we thought he was going for the lead, and now he's going around.
He goes for a bit of a spin there now. He's driving through all the sparkles.
He did God's work there, Patrick. Again, we know how the caution system works here in iRacing, and he got off the track just in the nick of time. He drove it in too deep. He got loose, but look at what he did here. He got off the track just as that pack of cars was getting by, because if his car was even an inch still on the racing circuit when that pack went by him, we would have had a caution flag. But he did everything he could to not affect the end of the race, as anybody who watched the NASCAR Cup Series knows what can happen when you have a caution late in the race.
And it is probably one of the most disliked NASCAR championship outcomes that I have ever seen. In my limited knowledge of NASCAR, but even for somebody who mostly keeps up with road racing and street circuits, that has come across my feed a ton of times.
You had worldwide drivers. You had Hinchcliffe and other drivers making comments of it. So, but that's a podcast topic. And what is Dylan doing? Dylan went down there, I think, voluntarily on the apron in turn 3. And again, you can see this track is just absolutely abysmally dirty. So that line does work. I mean, I've done it myself, but not at a track with this much dirt. But as we go focus just quickly back up front, that lead did go on some ebbs and flows, down from 3/10 of a second. It was the lowest. Now it's back up to half second, and the lap times now. We'll bring up our battle tracker with Keck, as I think we have a change of position here. Fred losing a spot to Schneider, but let's just see if we even have an inkling of a battle for the lead going on.
I mean, it's about a little under 0.02 of a second between them now. And I mean, it looks like Nathan Rhew is kind of up the pace here a bit, as now he is just about half a tenth quicker than William Keck on that last go-around. So Nathan Rhew might be going ahead and doing exactly what he needs to do. And that's a spin. That's likely going to be a caution. And sure enough, with 20 to go, this field is going to get bunched right back up. This could be fireworks here at the end of the race.
It will be fireworks, as it is a night race, so they do actually have fireworks. But that wreck seemed a little drastic for my taste. Well, let's see down the inside. That's not too huge of a deal. He is there. He is there. So we'll need one more look to see, should there have been space left, or was it a dive bomb? So he's there. Now, that is the point of contact right there. I would... Yeah.
Yep.
Andre Groundbush here with PTR TV is the kind of one of the race control there. I don't envy that decision, because at first glance it looked like he just got turned, but at second glance I can kind of see each side of the spectrum there. So we'll see where that one gets called. I mean, ultimately you kind of blame the passer car no matter what, but sometimes that passee car does have to, you know, there is some basic logic that they do have to heed to. So whatever the case is there, but Keck, and this is not the first time we've seen this there, Patrick, even though he's running up in the marbles, he's running on the cleaner, not the cleaner, he's running on the cooler track, which may help cool the tires down. So the gain of cooling the tires is clearly worth the negative of dirtying them up.
Indeed, and we talk about heat cycles every so often here in these races. And I mean, considering that these tires are almost 180, actually they're over 180 laps old at this stage of the race. So these tires are definitely, they're pretty much burnt out for at this stage. And anything you can do to kind of cool them tires off a little bit, just to get that little bit of extra grip when you get back going here, it could be the difference between P1 and P2.
Indeed the case here as we hit money time here in eCAR. 15 to go on the loud pedal. Very good restart. We see quite often the outside lane left to pasture, but Keck did as good of a job as you could infer the outside lane to do. Gets right there. He's closer than he was obviously prior to that caution, but now the difficult part is at play. He has to find the way by, and he's 1/10 back. He's in send it range. I don't think he is going to send it, but he's going to try that high-low, try to get a run off the corner, but Rhew holding a pretty wheel, not allowing him to gain much on corner exit.
Indeed, yeah, and I mean, there's 13 laps to go in this race, so you pretty much you got to go for broke here if you want to try to get a win here, because you're going to run out of time. Hey, 13 laps, once again, it's a double-digit number, but considering that the lap times here are consistently in the 13s, like 13-second range, you're really not going to have a whole lot of racing left to go. So you got to really just go for it. Honestly, you're going to run out of time, as we do see some drivers going for it here, trying to get past Connor Robinson there. Close to the wall, maybe even a little pinch against the wall there from Jack McKee and that number 28 Mustang. He's going to try it, and it looks like maybe more contact between Connor Robinson and the wall there. A bit of a, maybe even more contact, or just having a bit of a snap there in that number 11. I mean, you got to give it to the kid. He's doing pretty good here. He's holding his own here, even though he has been losing positions. But he is not giving up with less than 10 to go.
And someone else who's not giving up is Jacob Schneider. We thought Keck would be the one going for the win. Schneider letting it all hang out sideways, corner exit, 8 laps to go. Don't worry about the fenders, worry about the track position. He's going to clear, I think, nearly some contact. Keck doing everything he can to keep it to the bottom, getting sideways, slideways. But now Schneider, can Schneider pull off a last-second 9th inning comeback charge here to go for the race win?
He's going to give it his all here. He's going to go ahead and push with every fiber of his being, and probably more accurately, every fiber of rubber that the tire is still holding on to here. And we're going to go ahead and see Jack Fred trying to go ahead and get into the top 4 here. He's got the inner lane. He's going to try to make that stick using a bit of the apron here. Looks like it gave him just a bit of an advantage here. Maybe just enough to go ahead and hold on to that P4 position here. As it looks like Alex Thomas had a bit of a scuffle with the wall there. Jack Fred now trying to get into the top 3 here, trying to get a last moment podium with 5 to go here, Corey. I mean, the battle for P1 might be done and dusted, but P3 is still anyone's ball game.
Yeah, Fred on his charge through the field. Didn't expect him on the podium the way things working out, but Keck, he is also fallen his way back as this race is official at this point. And oh, hard contact to the wall for Keck. That'll cost him 2. Dylan Winters getting himself in the 4th spot. Didn't see that one coming, but we're now 2 laps to go. Less than half a mile effectively to finish this thing out. The gap for Rhew is about 0.4 of a second. Schneider, his last second charge was just a little bit too late. And we'll come off the corner. We'll take that white flag. Barney has it in hand. So one more lap around here in the South Boston 200 for eCAR. Schneider really went down to the apron, gained a little bit of time, gave it all he had. It's not going to be enough. Win number 2 on the season. Rhew gets it at Sobo.
He did everything he absolutely needed to on those restarts. And I think that's really one of his keys to victory here, because Nathan Rhew was under pressure pretty consistently throughout the race, but anytime there was a restart, he was like just untouchable on those restarts. So, I mean, honestly, it is a very well-earned win there from the number 88. Well done.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll burn it down or anything in a minute, but while he does that, let's go ahead and start our post-race show and let you know where your favorite driver may have finished here today at the eCAR 200. Nathan Rhew getting the final margin of victory of 0.3 of a second over Schneider. Gave everything he had, just not enough at the very end. Fred gets a 3rd out of nowhere. That wasn't expected, as was the 4th by Dylan Winters. Jack McKee gets top 5. Thomas fell back to 6th. Keck thought he was going to go for the win, but slid back to 7th. Robinson, Huff, and Johnny B, the top 10.
And then taking a look at all of our retirees here, we have Jonathan B. Golden, Jonathan Schaefer, Dave Beichner, Stephen Rex, and Travis Suckup, rounding out our 15 drivers on tonight's field here in South Boston. And honestly, this was a race of attrition. 200 laps without changing tires or getting fuel was definitely no small feat from anybody here on tonight's field.
Exactly that here. Now let's go and start bringing some of our drivers in here. We got Nathan Rhew, 2nd win of the season. Dominated, I think it was at Oxford Plains, if I'm not mistaken here. You dominated the second half of the race. We really saw the comers and goers play a huge factor here, saving the tires for 200 laps. What was your strategy to do that?
Sorry, guys, I was getting in the room and my mic back on. What was that question again?
The TLDR was had tire wear seemed to be huge. Obviously, you guys didn't have a stage, you didn't have an extra set, and we saw the comers and goers. How did you make those tires quick for 200 laps tonight?
Yeah, we knew we was going to have to save a lot, and we tried to get a good qualifying spot. It was actually a little off, which I think kind of helped us, not push too early, which allowed me to really kind of run the pace I wanted to run for the first half of the race, where I knew I could keep the tires on it, because that's the thing here. That right rear, those last 20, 30 laps, everybody's struggling with that right rear going away, but I can't answer better than that. Car did exactly what we wanted it to do tonight, kept the right rear on it, and man, she was just digging at the end.
Yeah, it was a great race to see. We also saw a lot of multi-groove. Sobo really putting that on. We had guys, hitting the apron on corner exit, guys ripping the second, even third lanes, and a lot of different strategies to play. Did that affect the tire wear at all, or was there a certain lane that you found that 88 to be striving in tonight?
We really focused. I put a lot into this week, and I really focused on just running that bottom where the grip's at, keep the car turning, but keep the right rear on it, and it did that, and I can't tell you how much fun it is to do a race when everything goes right for once, and we just had a great car. I got to attest to the car tonight. I did work on this thing all week long. I did several full runs on this thing trying to find a long run speed, because that's where I've been lacking, and tonight I think we found it. That car was still fine. I believe it could have run another 30-40 laps, so
yeah, you did good things there, man. You got yourself second win of the season. It'll be a good point stay. Any final words before we let you go?
I just want to thank everybody for putting this on. Thank all the guys for showing up. Thank everybody out there that races you clean. And it's really fun when you have people you can race hard. Schaefer, we kind of went back and forth a few times, let each other go. I love racing with him. He's a great driver, and he understands, when it's time to let somebody go, and vice versa. I try to repay that favor to him, but there at the end when we got first and second, I really didn't want to give up that track space, so we run it as hard as we could there, and it looked like we just had a little better on the long run, keeping that right rear on it. But thanks to everybody that puts this on, and man, that was a blast.
Absolutely, man. Good stuff to see. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you at Myrtle Beach next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and then our second place driver, who also had a drive through the field late, the number 81 of Jacob Snyder with Patrick.
Hey Jacob, welcome to the box here. It was a very tough race, a race of attrition here at Sobo. What was it like trying to manage the tires and the fuel load for 200 laps here tonight?
Oh, I left enough fuel in it that wasn't a concern. Just tires. It was a lot of just riding around for me. I just let everybody go and rode around in like 10th or 11th about the whole time. And then it was all worth it. It got real exciting there at the end.
Indeed, that final caution with about 20 or so laps to go really did spice things up here on the night. Do you think it was going to be a case of where you would have to refuel if those cautions didn't come out here tonight?
No, I had enough fuel to go 200 laps green. I don't know about everybody else, but we could have made it on 19 gallons, and we got a 22-gallon fuel cell. So if anyone was close on fuel, it's because they would start as short.
All right, 2 more questions before we go ahead and let you go. It is going to be Myrtle Beach next week. How confident are you that you're going to be able to keep up the momentum heading to Myrtle Beach?
Yeah, we got 2 second place finishes in a row here, so hopefully just one step better. I feel like tire saving was going to be a kind of an advantage of mine. It's kind of a strong suit of mine, but it ended up making no difference. I finished second anyway.
All right, last question before...
Next week's only 90 laps, so it's just going to be kind of an all-out sprint.
Indeed, yeah, it should be fast and furious action next week. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or shout out here tonight?
Oh yeah, Caleb Hall and Aftershock Setups. He's been giving me some pretty good setups here for short run and long run, and it's just a matter of me driving it better to get that one spot better.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the P2, and best of luck to you next week in Myrtle Beach.
I appreciate it.
All right, that is second place, and we'll wrap things up here in the post-race show with Jack Fred. Jack Fred, our points leader coming in. Didn't look like the way the race was starting that you were going to be able to keep that points lead, but Dave's race went sour, and you worked your way up to a podium, man. Just kind of talk about how that all came to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of all part of the plan. I knew this long of a race, people were going to burn up their tires, so I spent a good chunk of the race just saving my stuff, and I was pretty good by the end.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the comers and goers into the last extended race you guys had at Langley, you had an extra set to play with, but here you had to make it last the whole time. Jacob said he was just putting himself around. I mean, how much patience does that take, just letting guys go and just not battle and knowing that, you have to fight for the end reward?
You get a little worried that, you're not going to catch a caution or, you're going to get too spread out and won't be able to do anything. But you just got to, just stay patient and trust that you'll be there by the end.
Yeah, so you had 8 points coming in here today. Of course, Nathan's going to help his cause out by getting the win and a couple spots over you there. And then we take the tour to Myrtle Beach next week. So what's your confidence level heading there next week?
I'm pretty confident. I still need to work on qualifying better, but I feel like if I can start closer to the front, I'll have a good race.
Well, we'll keep eyes peeled. That points battle getting tight here as the season heads to its second half. Man, congrats on the podium, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, so that'll wrap things up here from the South Boston Speedway. Interesting race, Patrick. Went relatively clean. And again, that points picture is certainly getting interesting.
Indeed, yeah, and this championship just keeps ramping up. And we're only through the first half of the season here after tonight. So we still have a whole nother second half of the season left to go here. We only have a handful. I think only one more extended race here this season. And that'll be at Martinsville in December. But I think the biggest question mark here is going to be that to be determined the mystery race on the 20th. I think that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think this championship is going to be really spicy as we get closer and closer to the end.
Absolutely. You won't want to miss any of it. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe if you have not already done so. Stay tuned. Our next broadcast will be on Sunday for the Triple Bypass Cup Series. We'll have their ARCA Series back with elbows out, some more eCAR, and you'll see a lot of these names, I'm sure, next Saturday night in the 28th Annual All-American 400, our biggest race of the year. These short track guys come out in full force for that. And again, we want to have as many friends along for the ride for these events as possible. But that's going to be Corey and Patrick signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.